Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, well, we're tackling a really tough one, a critical and, frankly, heartbreaking event. The recent Air India Flight 171 crash in Ahmedabad.
hmm
It's captured global attention, obviously, and our mission, as always, is to look beyond those initial headlines. We want to use the sources we've gathered to really understand what happened, a huge impact, and, the questions that are still out there.
Absolutely. And approaching something like this, it needs real care, a detailed look. Modern air travel is just so complex.
Right.
So understanding an incident this fast, this devastating, it really comes down to piecing together every single second.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of deep dive we want to offer you today.
Okay, let's try and unpack this. So the basics from our sources: Air India Flight AI 171. It was a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, tail number VT ANB,
Yep, the Dreamliner.
and it was departing Ahmedabad for London Gatwick. That was June 12th, 2025, at 1:38 p.m. local time, Indian Standard Time.
And what's just, chilling, really, is how fast it all happened. The plane crashed just 30, maybe 33 seconds after takeoff.
30 seconds. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that incredibly short time frame, it really focuses the investigation, doesn't it? Our sources point to these critical details from those seconds. It just failed to climb properly.
Yeah.
Its landing gear was still down, and the flaps were apparently still set for takeoff.
Still in takeoff configuration.
Exactly. That combination, it suggests, an immediate catastrophic failure, something core thrust, lift, control, not an issue that developed over time.
And the place where it came down, that adds another layer of just awful tragedy. It hit the hostel block of BJ Medical College in Meghani Nagar, Ahmedabad.
Yeah, a busy campus building, the reports say.
This is terrible.
And that direct impact, on a community just going about its day, it leads us straight to the devastating human cost. On the plane, there were 242 people.
230 passengers, 12 crew.
Right. And of those, 241 died. Just staggering.
Almost everyone.
But the tragedy on the ground, it's immense, too. At least 38 people killed there, and many, many more injured.
It's hard to even comprehend that scale. But amid all this loss, there's this one detail that's just, it's astonishing. A sole survivor.
Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, yeah, a British Indian national.
One person. How?
Well, his survival is, it's being called miraculous,
Yeah.
obviously, and it's a huge focus for investigators. He was sitting in exit row 11A.
An exit row.
Exactly. And aviation experts are already suggesting that his seat location, being right by an exit, was likely a major factor.
Makes sense.
Even in a catastrophic crash, the dynamics can sometimes create these tiny pockets of survivability. Being near an exit or maybe a part of the fuselage that stayed relatively intact, that can be absolutely critical. He apparently escaped with relatively minor injuries.
Incredible. And he's recovering now.
Yeah, recovering in hospital there in Ahmedabad.
Okay, so the investigation, that must be moving incredibly fast.
Oh, absolutely. Full swing. They've recovered both black boxes, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder. The crucial evidence.
Right. Though apparently one was slightly damaged. India's DGCA, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, they're leading the analysis, but they're getting key help from UK and US agencies too.
So what are they actually looking at? Any initial theories?
Well, nothing's confirmed yet, of course. It's far too early, but the possibilities getting intense scrutiny include potential mechanical problems with the plane itself, maybe engine failure, issues with the flaps or the landing gear configuration like we mentioned, or even, the possibility of something like a bird strike taking out both engines at such a critical moment.
A double bird strike right after takeoff.
It's a possibility they have to consider. We should get a preliminary report in maybe a few weeks. But the full definitive answers, that could take a lot longer, months, maybe even years. There's just so much data to sift through.
Understood. And what about the immediate response on the ground? Our sources say it was incredibly swift, very coordinated. Local teams, national teams, India's NDRF, the National Disaster Response Force, the Indian Army, local fire services, they were all there very quickly, involved in rescue and relief.
That's good to hear.
And looking sort of broader, the reactions from leadership, they really show the gravity of this. The DGCA launched its probe immediately. Air India's chairperson, N. Chandrasekaran, he called it the most heartbreaking crisis he's ever seen.
I can imagine.
There's also been talk of compensation. The union government offered 1 crore rupees, which is roughly 120,000 US dollars, to victims' families. And Air India is providing support too, refunds, lodging, things like that.
And for Boeing, the manufacturer, This must be significant.
Oh, absolutely. Reports are confirming this is actually the very first fatal hull loss for the entire 787 Dreamliner series.
A first one for the Dreamliner.
First fatal one, yeah. Where the aircraft is completely destroyed or beyond repair,
Hmm.
that's a huge deal. And it was reflected in the markets. Boeing shares dropped around 8% right after the news broke.
Wow. It really underscores the immense pressure, the responsibility involved in aviation safety.
Definitely.
So we've covered the timeline, the awful human cost, that incredible story of the lone survivor, and the ongoing investigation into Flight 171. That's a lot to take in.
It really is.
Beyond just the facts, what does an event like this, make us think about?
That's a really important question, I think. When something this rapid, this devastating happens, and yet one person miraculously survives, it does make you reflect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
On these incredibly complex systems we rely on every single day, on the role that sheer chance can play, and, well, on that constant, vital quest for safety in technologies like aviation. It's just a very sobering reminder that even with all our progress, the margins can sometimes be incredibly thin.
Powerful thoughts to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into such a significant global event. As always, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning.